Before I hit rock bottom, I hit the top of the mountain. Was that my dream was big. It's just what I had to do to make it in first grade. So there's obviously a positive, but also a negative as well. I didn't have an identity other than a rugby league player. To be fair, I found myself in a very unfamiliar territory when it comes to mental health. I had to retire from professional rugby league in England because I was on so much medication and I just wasn't functioning properly. It was still 5 years of complete numbness, isolation, heavily medicated, and trying to function and get on with my life, which was a complete battle. My health, my education, and I went all in. And you really want to accomplish something big, you've got to go all in.
My name is Nicole Young, and this is the Rock Your Bottom podcast. Kia ora team, welcome back to another episode. What an epic episode to wrap up the year and it to be the last podcast episode of season 1. Quickly, a massive thank you to all of the love and the support this year. It's been a privilege to set up a platform to share these incredible stories, and I feel extremely lucky to be able to do such a thing. To the guests I've had on, you guys frickin' rock, and I hope you continue sharing your stories for the world to hear. You heard that right earlier, guys. The end of season 1 does end here after Paul's episode, but season 2 is brewing itself up in the background and will be hitting the streets in 2026. I hope you have a safe Christmas and New Year, and I look forward to seeing you all again next year for another season of the Rock Your Bottom podcast. With no further ado, this episode's one you will not want to miss. Enjoy.
Whakawāte tino i a mātou, whakawāte te hau o te rungi a mātou, whakawāte te taurikarakitangi a mātou kia maranga mai a e mātou ki runga. And that beautiful karakia just means may love surround us. May we eliminate all negativity that surrounds our minds. May we rise above all. Love is the answer. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora. Paul Whatuira. Welcome to the Rock Your Bottom podcast. You are best known here in Aotearoa as a former rugby league player turned mental health advocate. 200 first grade games, 16 test matches for New Zealand, 2 NRL premiership victories, Panthers in 03 and Tigers in 05. And I quote, "But the best victory in life was overcoming depression, anxiety, psychotic episodes, which led me into mental health lockdown and 5 years of heavy medication. Today you are a father, a partner, and director of He Mana e Roto, aka Internal Strength. Welcome.
Thank you, Nicole. Absolute humbled and grateful to be in your presence today. So thank you.
You're so welcome. I feel very privileged actually having you sitting here on this couch with me, and I'm really pumped to, hear a little bit more about your journey and the space you hold within the mental health sector and everything in between. How are you today?
Ki te tino ora ahau, I am absolutely really good.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a healthy family, but most importantly, I'm healthy myself. And it's definitely a blessing that I'm here today in your presence and looking forward to our kōrero. And let's just go with the flow and see what happens.
Totally. Hey, I love to give my guests the opportunity to just introduce themselves at the start of each episode in whatever form or way that they like. The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, firstly, I am a father. As you mentioned, I have 3 beautiful children. Tamti, he is 4. Gabrielle, she is 15. And Tiana, she is 18. And my beautiful partner, the boss of our whare, Trina. We've been together now for 7-8 years. So very blessed to have a wonderful family who are supportive. But don't get me wrong, our house is busy when you have 2 beautiful teenage daughters and a 4-year-old son. Can get quite demanding at times, but we love it. And we make sure that our children are provided with the best aroha that we can give them, because aroha is everything.
It is, yeah. Where are you from?
No Wainui o Mata ahau. I'm from Wainui o Mata down in Wellington, born and bred. And yeah, my mum is from Tainui and my dad is from Whatuira, Ngāti Kaununu, but I was brought up in windy Wellington.
Windy Valley. Nice. Oh, Paul, like I said before, it's a real privilege having you sitting on this couch with me. And your story has blown me away pretty much. It is raw and it's honest and it's real. I would love to start, from wherever you would like to start from, really, with your journey. Tell me a little bit about where what your experience was like growing up. I heard that you were 17 years old when you played your first game for the Warriors. Tell me a little bit about that. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure can. So both my parents were hard workers, and I do remember in my childhood that my dad worked night shift for the first 15 years of my life. My mum was a factory worker as well, so they worked extremely hard to provide for their three children. And also what I do remember is my parents were never forceful when it comes to sports. I was that typical Māori boy that wanted to play everything from rugby league to rugby to boxing to hockey to basketball, which was my first passion. I loved basketball. Michael Jordan's still my hero, but once I didn't grow above 6 foot, I gave basketball away. But yeah, my parents were very supportive but worked hard, and that's a trait that I hope that I'm living up to my father's standards. But then again, also in the 80s and 90s, when you have a community that are very supportive, but also alcohol probably wasn't as, it was just a social thing to do, which it still is now. It was just, I think I was just, although I noticed things that I shouldn't have noticed as a young kid, I also in later years made me not want to go down that pathway, and that's where sport was a positive driving force, and in a way it made me the person that I am today.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. You speak a little bit about how alcohol was sort of there growing up in the 80s and 90s. Did you end up, I guess, in your teenage years experimenting a little bit?
Yeah. I had a little bit of a tutu on everything when you were a young 15, 16-year-old, and you wanted to fit in with the crowd, and most teenagers experiment with alcohol, and I definitely did, but what kept me on track was that my dream was big, and rugby league came first in my life, and I experimented in alcohol, but definitely didn't have an issue with alcohol in my teenage years because I knew I wanted something bigger in my life. And but in saying that too, alcohol making me feel old now, but in the late 90s when I was coming into the scene, I was only 16, 17, playing against adults, playing in the Premier League competition down in Wellington. So you're hanging out with men now. So alcohol was introduced to me at a young age solely because as a young teenager, I was playing amongst men who drunk. So I wanted to fit in, and also I participated in drinking as well.
What was it like playing, rugby league through your late teens into early 20s? What was your experience like in there?
It happened so quickly. I was playing local Premier League for the Whatuira Lions, and then the following year in 2000, I pretty much just finished school, and here I am making my first grade debut for the New Zealand Warriors. So it happened really quickly. Yeah. And it went really quick. I think my first game I only played 3 minutes, but it just, looking back now, I wasn't ready, but I took that opportunity and I was willing to be uncomfortable, and they put me in good stead for the following years as I built up my confidence playing first grade. But yeah, it was a dream come true.
Yeah. What sort of struggles can you remember facing back then?
Yeah, it was more so not being able to share my emotions. I was never taught as a young man and how to articulate what I am feeling emotionally. So I was definitely homesick. 17, leaving home, living in the big city of Auckland. I was definitely overawed by the occasion, but in a way, and I'll say it again, my dream, I'll do anything to accomplish my dreams, and that was to play first grade. And my goal, I was all in on playing first grade regularly, and there were so many more talented young athletes coming through Wellington, coming through the system. But what was my driving force is that I was determined, I was hungry, and I would do anything possible to play first grade.
Yeah.
So that was the difference of then young players being more talented than me, but they just weren't as driven.
Did you find yourself through that putting a lot of pressure on yourself?
Definitely. At times I was saying, it sounds rubbish now because it is, but if I wasn't playing first grade, I would feel that I wasn't worthy enough to go back to my hometown of Whatuira. Again, silly, yes, but at the time I felt that feeling was real. So definitely put a lot of pressure on myself. But then again, it was a positive because it made me push myself to limits that I didn't know I could get to, but because it's just what I had to do to make it in first grade. So there's obviously a positive, but also a negative as well.
Yeah. Did you find, back then, were other players or other team members, did you find that you could connect with, I guess, the boys on an emotional level, or was that just not really a thing?
I don't think it was a thing back then. Definitely not. Yeah, I don't think the majority of us young athletes coming through knew how to articulate our emotions. And rugby league is a great sport. It is a blue collar sport, so we all can relate to each other because we are coming from similar communities. But yeah, we just didn't know how to communicate our feelings.
Yeah. Something happened in your, career where you hit what I've heard you call a rock bottom moment. Are you happy talking a little bit about that rock bottom moment that then, led you down, I guess, what you can call your healing journey?
For sure. Before I hit rock bottom, I hit the top of the mountain
Yeah.
a couple of times. And when I hit the mountain, what I mean is like I was able to experience a lot of success with rugby league, and what come with that was I guess people demanded more of your time. People were happy to give you nice things, whether it be car sponsorships or clothing line merchandise for free. And as a young, humble kid, but stepping into this arena where everyone wants a piece of you, my mindset did change, I believe. I guess I came a bit more arrogant, or I lost my sense of where I came from. And when you do that, you can get hit in the bottom really quickly. So I did lose my sense of who I am, and then my egoic young adultness started to take full effect once I hit that mountain of success within professional sport, and I think that's when it started to come crumbling down, and I lost myself in a way.
When you say you lost yourself, what did that look like?
So pretty much I was playing, although you gave me some massive info, playing 200 games. I actually played 199 games.
Oh my God, really?
199
Wow.
games, but 200 sounds better. But it was 199. but I was able to play like 100 first grade games in a row.
Oh, wow.
But then when I got to 26, 27, I felt my body slowing down. I wasn't recovering as much, and I just started to get injured a bit more. So after that 100 plus games, I felt my body not being able to respond to the demands of rugby league at the highest level in Australia. So then I had to really focus more on my financials and life after football. So I signed a contract to travel to England and play in the Super League in Huddersfield, just pretty much because I couldn't keep up with the NRL now. So the toughest sport, I believe, in the world, physical anyway. And I moved to England, and I think that was the beginning of my hitting rock bottom, being isolated from family, living in England, away from that normal support from my mother, my father, and my good friends back home. I think that was the turning point.
Yeah. It's a massive culture shift going from, I guess, New Zealand over to Australia, then from Australia over to England. You're right, like you've just gone from one extreme sort of to the absolute other side of the world, and your connection to who you were was back here. Would you say that that's correct?
Yeah, and when you live in Australia and England, you're trying to fit in, you want to be one of the boys, but then I did lose myself and my identity. And to be fair, I didn't really even know my identity when I was growing up or in my younger 20s. I would have to say I didn't have an identity other than a rugby league player. Yeah. To be fair.
Yeah.
And although financially it was the best decision for me to move to England, with that came its troubles.
You spoke a little bit just earlier about how you sort of kept getting injured playing in the NRL and stuff, and it was the best decision to go over to England. Do you feel that your body sort of kept getting injured because you weren't looking after yourself mentally as well as physically? Do you think there was a mind-body connection to that?
Most likely. Looking back now, and to be fair, I took pride in my occupation. I definitely was disciplined about my craft and looked after myself physically and mentally. Like I wasn't going partying and writing myself off. Like I genuinely tried to do the best that I could to take that field every single weekend. It's just when injuries were happening and I was pushing my rehab because I was so keen to get onto the field, and that was the wrong thing to do. I should have listened to my body and taken my time. So it was more so me rushing to get back on the field, but I just kept re-injuring myself. I had hamstring issues at that time, and still do. I still like to run and look after myself, but I think it was, I think definitely my body was slowing down, but also emotionally I probably didn't know how or what to say to share the issues I was having with myself internally about not taking that field, because you do feel isolated when you're not training with the first grade team or participating in the battle every weekend, and when you isolate yourself, loneliness does become toxic.
Yeah. Over in England, did you find isolation was easier?
I think more, I wouldn't say I was trying to look to be isolated. Like I was just so far away from home.
Yeah.
And I made some friends for life and was able to achieve some success in England. But I just think that I had built up, I would have been 27 years of age. But just think about it, Nicole, 27 years of age and not being able to articulate certain things that have happened in my life, it does build up. And when you don't have an outlet on those trauma episodes that you've had in your life, it does build up. And in England, it built up, and I found myself in a a very unfamiliar territory when it comes to mental health.
Yeah. Unfamiliar territory when it comes to mental health. Did that lead you back home? Did you come back home to New Zealand?
No, I didn't. I didn't read the signs.
Yeah.
I didn't know the signs. I thought I was I wouldn't say invincible, but I put up a cloud. I was going through hell, really, but I just didn't know how to articulate it. And in a way, rugby league was a positive, but there's only so much self-doubt that you can take. So I wasn't sleeping well, and on top of that, at that time, I guess I was going out too, trying to mask the pain with alcohol. Still going out with my mates. I probably was drinking more than I had ever did throughout my career, just to mask the pain and the trauma that I have had in my life. And becoming a father triggered some memories, and having the responsibility of becoming a father for the first time. My daughter Gabrielle was born in England. Oh, wow. That was the trigger point, and the responsibilities that I had to live up to, but also some certain things that I went through in my life, in my childhood, as a professional athlete, come and hit me in one go. And that, what that was self-doubt, losing confidence in myself. And when your self-talk is negative, and as Nicole, I know you're big on psychology and the great work that you're doing right now. Self-talk is important, whether negative or positive. It becomes energy, and that negative energy was role-playing 24/7 in my head, and that's when my health was declining rapidly.
Yeah, your health was declining, and I have, watched a couple of, I guess you could call them mini documentaries on your journey and your life. And to anyone out there listening to this, those are on YouTube if you do want to have a look at those, team. You hit a certain day, and this day, and this is a really tough topic to talk about, but it was a day that you no longer wanted to be earthside anymore. And you spoke about how you saw a photo of your precious daughter, and you couldn't bring yourself to leave her with that legacy. What was that whole experience after that day like for you? You hit what some would call the bottom, that point where you just no longer want to be here. And it's, as a human living this human experience, it's no one ever wants to be at that place. What did the coming months and days look like for you after that?
Yeah, I was still on rock bottom for about 5 years after I attempted to take my own life in 2011.
Yeah.
That was also followed by 2 years previously being heavily medicated. I had to retire from professional rugby league in England because I was on so much medication, and I just wasn't functioning properly. So the best move at that time was to bring my young family back to Sydney and try my best to function and to find another passion, which was hard because when you're 6 years old and all you wanted to do was play rugby league at the highest level, play in Australia, and at 28, 29, it's taken away from you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say taken away from you. I was just mentally unwell. I couldn't function. It's devastating. So not only am I at this point in time in my life heavily medicated, really not taking care of myself, making poor choices and decisions, something's going to give. And I want to make this clear. Throughout my professional sporting career, I loved my craft. It was my job. It was my dream. It wasn't a job. I dedicated my life to it, and I like to think that I was a complete professional when it came to my sport that I loved. But it was more so just that the post-career, I had never touched drugs, anti-drugs. Then because I was so much in pain and numbness and heavily medicated, whether it's diazepam or Xerox, lithium, I had to get lithium level checks, injections once a month to check what level I'm at, endless counseling sessions. So yeah, after that rock bottom episode, when I noticed the picture of my daughter Gabrielle, which kept me going, it was still 5 years of complete numbness, isolation, heavily medicated, and trying to function and get on with my life, which was a complete battle.
I'm curious to know the medication you were on. Was it for your mental health?
It definitely was, yeah. So in England, at the time, I spent 4 weeks in a psychiatric mental hospital. I had a psychotic episode, and unfortunately, spent 4 weeks in the hospital, heavily medicated. So I went through that journey trying to process it, yet just been heavily medicated. So at the time, doctors recommend that I have to remain on medication for the remainder of my life, and I don't want to diminish any doctors out there. There's some great doctors, don't get me wrong, but there are also some doctors that I wouldn't get advice from. And I think looking back at it now, I was just in so much pain. I was in so much self-doubt. I lacked confidence in myself. Had it all been taken away from me. So during my 5-year medication journey, there were certain points definitely I needed medication, but I just didn't want to continue my life and rely on medication. And I understand, and I talk to everyone out there that are on medication and that they do need it. And don't take my advice, but the advice that I gave to myself was that, look, I can't live my life like this no more. I'm not functioning properly. I'm living my life in numbness. I have no confidence when I take medication. I wanted to be a father again. So what I did was not the right way, but at that time it was the right way for me, and I made the decision to step away from all medication. If you come into my one-bedroom apartment in Sydney 10 plus years ago, you'll find in my bathroom that it was a stack of medication. I grabbed the rubbish bin and I threw it all in there, but I promised myself I'm going to make this one-bedroom apartment a healthy place for my daughter. And what I did do, I disciplined myself and taking care of myself. I was training 3 to 4 times a day. I was reconnecting with my former teammates and my family who I hadn't seen and spoken to in 5 years because I was living in isolation. I re-educated myself and did a positive psychology degree. I faced all my fears. So whatever my mom was telling me that was fearful, I was able to overcome it. But it was just small steps, small steps and small steps. And I was able to rebuild myself, rebuild my confidence. But most importantly, I was able to search for my identity and come home and reconnect myself to Te Ao Māori. So it was a bit of a long journey, but small stepping stones that I had to do and face up to my fears.
It sounds like that decision you made with your medication was a real turning point for you as well. Like just that sort of decision to actually go, this isn't working for me the way that I need it to be working for me. I'm going to do something about it. Wow. Good on you.
Thank you. Yeah. And like I want to talk again, others that are on medication and you're getting the right support from your doctor, fantastic. But just for me, and this is my way, it's not anybody else's way. I want to make that clear. It definitely was the turning point. And I had to work extremely hard. It wasn't easy. I was, at that time in Sydney, I was hanging out with negative people. And when you hang out with negative people, you do silly things. But I eliminated that crew. I reconnected myself to my dear friends, my family, my health, my education, and I went all in.
Yeah.
And you really want to accomplish something big, you've got to go all in, and that's something that I guess I've always been able to do through sport.
Yeah.
Going all in, and my daughter was the driving force behind that, and now I have a beautiful partner, Trina, and a 4-year-old son and another stepdaughter. My why's become bigger,
Yeah.
which keeps me in good stead. And it's still hard work. I've still got to make sure I continue my good habits that I have,
Yeah.
and continue to challenge myself, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Over the next, I guess, coming years after your turning point happened, you would have had to sort of navigate what tools and strategies worked for you and what didn't work for you. Would you be able to talk a little bit on those tools and strategies that did work for you / didn't work for you?
I know what did work for me, and it's not rocket science. I don't think we need a PhD in psychology, but I've had a PhD in pain, and what works for me is, and you know the answer already, Nicole, but it is good sleep. Okay, good sleep's important. 2 hours before bed, I make sure that I try my best not to get into a heated argument with my partner, my family, my children. That 2 hours before bed is calmness time. I don't look at any emails or social media. It's my time to relax and stay calm. And exercise is another one. Exercise today is my medication.
Yeah.
I take great pride in my health and my physical appearance, and my physical appearance demonstrates the disciplined lifestyle that I live. Food is another one. Again, we know this already. You know this already, but I stay away from the fizzy drinks. I love my water. It's a balance with food. Yes, I do love my beef burger once a week, but I'm also training every single morning. That doesn't have to be a 10K run. They could just be going for a walk. But the most important one is positive, respectable relationships with others, with your family, your work colleagues, but most importantly, yourself, and really checking in and having the awareness of your self-talk. Is it negative or is it positive? And we're all humans. We make mistakes. That's what it's all about. And sometimes we can be really critical, or we are critical on ourselves. We wouldn't talk to our loved one the way we talk to ourselves at times.
Yeah.
So really having an awareness of your self-talk and making sure that you let yourself off the hook.
You spoke a lot about how in the past you did, have a lot of self-doubt, and you spoke to yourself, just like you were saying, how you would never sort of speak to anyone else. Did you find to begin with it really challenging to challenge your inner dialogue on that negative self-talk? How did you navigate actually coming to talk to yourself with more respect and more aroha?
It's still a work in progress. I think it's my competitiveness that I have inside me. I'm 44 now, and I look back on my life and the years that I didn't have goals or purposes, the years that I become unwell. So for me, having a drive, having a purpose is important to me. It's important to my well-being. It was a matter of when I was heavily medicated and I was getting myself off it. It was actually every day doing things that I enjoyed to do, which one I love it to train.
Yeah.
It changes my mood. Having pleasures in the simple things, whether having a coffee, spending time with my daughter, being present, reconnecting with my former teammates again, which was a blessing and was a part of my rediscovery of myself and giving me the confidence to be able to step out into the world. So it was just a number of small steps that accumulated, and once I was able to get it all together, things just started to happen. You see the world differently. You see the world as opportunities, and things just started to come to me. But I was prepared for those occasions, and some things I wasn't prepared for. Hey, why don't you come in and be a guest speaker for the NRL Wellbeing seminar? I wasn't prepared for it, but I took that opportunity.
Yeah.
And then the next minute, I got offered a job to be the full-time manager at the West Tigers for the next 3 years. So sometimes you got to take those opportunities, be prepared, but also for those opportunities when you're not prepared, just take it anyway.
Yeah.
I guess just like when I made my first grade debut, I wasn't prepared, but I turned up.
Yeah.
And when you turn up, 99%, 100% of the time, things are going to happen for you. There's always a lesson in everything that we do. I got a beautiful whakatauki. Kimi he ngā mea pai I roto I ngā mea kino, which means, look, with every bad, you must look for the good within that bad. And that's one thing I do believe in, is you've just got to turn up, keep turning up, and things will happen.
With every bad, you've got to look for the good within that bag. I like that. I really, really like that. Within your career as well, like I stated at the beginning, you are the director behind He Mana a Roto, Internal Strength. Tell me a little bit about that, Paul, and where that came from and what you do with that today.
Yeah. Like you, Nicole, and there's many others out there doing amazing work, providing opportunities and support for our communities in need. And back in 2015, actually, I was living in Sydney, and I wanted to make a difference. And by that time, I had owned my story. I had forgiven myself of my past, and I really thought that I could try and at least make a little difference in this world by sharing my story, but not only sharing my story, but creating the 12 modules and tools that keep me healthy and well every single day. And I moved home in 2018 and created the He Mana Roto Internal Strength Program for rangatahi, but also for adults and within the corporate world too. So we target everybody, but our main niche is for people who are struggling with mental health issues, struggling with life, but more so we give them the tools that keep them healthy and well, forgiving themselves, digital hygiene, healthy body, healthy mind, just to name a few. Laughter is one of the keys too. Making sure that you can just laugh at yourself too and not take ourselves so seriously. So the 12 modules are built on a solution-based lived experience by myself and many others. So now we have a strong team of ambassadors, and we work out of Wellington and Auckland, doing some fantastic work with people in need. And I'm just going to name drop some friends of mine, but they've been big advocates for internal strength and facilitators. Ruben Wiki, Shantae Hapi, Shane Cameron, or Taura Neko, or rugby league and boxing legends in their own right, but they come in and deliver some of our content. And also my lovely and beautiful sister Lania, she's down in Wellington as the lead facilitator, director, doing great work down in Wellington, working with unemployment, and trying to support them back into employment.
Incredible. Have you seen some massive changes? And I guess just to name one, the rangatahi coming up, you holding these spaces for them and teaching them these modules and stuff. Have you had some good feedback on that? It is doing what you're wanting it to do?
Yeah, but we've had plenty of good feedback. But what really resonates with me is when you deliver your program, and for me, it's like a performance. You want to give them your honesty and support and as much knowledge as that you can give them, but like anything, they really have to go out there on their own and develop these tools and live their own life in their own unique way.
Yeah.
So what is a blessing to me is when you bump into this person in the street or at a conference or at a organization, you bump into them and you can see that they're doing really well. Or we've got our own internal strength website when they put in comments. So there definitely is plenty of feel good stories. So I can't really separate them, but I think I know and our team knows that we are definitely making a difference.
What's been your most favourite thing about, going and doing this with people, I guess? What's the best thing about doing it?
I think you would resonate with this too, Nicole. The great work that you're doing, setting up this awesome podcast, is that it keeps you accountable. We have a responsibility to keep ourselves well. So in a selfish way, for me to get up on stage or within the classroom and to deliver internal strength or share my life story, I better be keeping myself in check and keep on living these principles within Himano o Roto. Because if I don't, you'll get caught out. Rangatahi are smart. They know when you're talking rubbish. Or even when you go into the corporate sector, it's the same. You've got to be living these principles. And I just find when you do that, your words, your chord, it all comes out more naturally. Yeah.
Have you had a lot of feedback from parents of these rangatahi? Do they reach out and say, oh my God, my kid has been in a workshop with you, and do you get that sort of that side of things as well?
Yeah, and I want to put it out there. Our team's no miracle workers. We definitely ain't the solution to everything, and there's plenty of other programs doing great work. And but what I have found is the parents usually jump in. So I do set up a parents' internal strength workshop as well, and I think that's even better when the parents can do it with the parents, because then the whole household can live by the values and the parents. And I know there's things that I can do to become a better parent. I'm not perfect, don't claim to be. So we can always learn off each other.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And you said that this happens in Wellington and Auckland.
Yeah, so we hit 3 different sectors. So we work with rangatahi, whether in schools or if they're unemployed. We also work with athletes, because we've got awesome facilitators and ambassadors who are former athletes. They come and deliver our content with athletes of today, but also their corporate sector as well. So all my team are amazing corporate speakers, doing great work within their own line of work, but are quite prominent within the private sector. And the great thing about setting up the Mana Futures Charitable Trust, which we have now set up, is a part of the proceeds goes directly into the charitable trust, so then we can go into communities where they need the support, the lower economic, social communities where they need us the most, and we can go in there and deliver our content for those who are in need of our services.
Yeah. Your services, especially today, are so important because, like we've just touched on, mental health is massive these days, as we've spoken about. Back when you were in your up-and-coming career, it just wasn't spoken about enough. And I'm curious to understand, do you believe that these up-and-coming stars are being looked after enough with their mental health? Have things changed a little bit in the professional scene with these players?
100%. I think I can only speak on behalf of the NRL, because I still work within the NRL, but more so in the governance space. But the NRL are doing a fantastic work with today's athletes. The services they have, the support is amazing. Back in my day, it was pretty much made my first grade debut and go straight to the bar. It was no education, no support, but now the game has invested a lot of money to look after the player, protect the player. And in hindsight, you're always going to have an athlete step out of line. And to be fair, they're young 20 to 30-year-old men. Yes, they do have a responsibility. You need to conduct yourself on and off the field. That is your job. But in a way too, they've got to live their lives, and sometimes they make poor choices and decisions. And believe me, I'm the same. I made a lot of poor choices and decisions, and if you found out some of those stories, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a balance of care and understanding, but also for the athlete of today, he has a job. Social media is prominent now. You are a brand for the company, and now clubs are multi-million-dollar companies now, so they have their sponsorships to worry about as well. But I can say hand on heart, today's athlete do have fantastic support within the NRL.
That's absolutely amazing to hear. When did you start getting, I guess, you spoke a little bit and I forgot to sort of touch on it, but you did say at some stage you ended up going and getting some counselling and, you said counselling. When did you get that for yourself? At what sort of in the time frame?
So 5 years I was going through my dark years, heavily medicated, not taking care of myself. I most likely would have invested $40,000 on counselling, medication, endless counselling sessions. But for me, again, that didn't work for me. What worked for me was reconnecting with my whānau, learning about my te ao Māori culture, challenging my negative thoughts. Yes, I did my positive psychology degree, but I practiced the lessons that I learned towards myself. I became the student of my own mind and trying to fix my internal strength first before I stepped out into the world truly and shared my story.
Do you think going and getting, you've spoken a couple of times about your positive psychology degree. What did that whole process look like for you? What made you go and step into that space?
It was a great space. Firstly, because I was working with the NRL as the Education and Wellbeing Manager for 3 years.
Yeah.
A part of my contract was that they were able to fund my education. So the good thing about going back into the game is that it was all paid for by the NRL, which thank you, NRL. But also I wanted to get better. I wanted to grow. I wanted to evolve. I now had a new purpose and a drive to get myself well, but also continue to get myself well and share the solutions that have kept me healthy and well today, 10 years medication free. So I had a new purpose. And like I said before, I believe I need a purpose. I need goals in my life, and that keeps me on track to continue to move forward.
Having a purpose and having goals, I think, just for the average individual is so important, because without that, it's like, oh my gosh, where do I step to and where can I step to? So that's incredible. Within one of your documentaries, you spoke to a doctor, and I'm so sorry, but I cannot remember his name, but he spoke about the connection between head injuries and professional sports. And you were talking about the NRL and suicide. I'm curious to know if there is or has been any more talk around that correlation or that topic.
Definitely a topic. It is definitely a topic that needs to be spoken of more.
Yep.
It's I don't, again, this is my own opinion, but the players of my generation, the players of the generation before me, they could be better looked after. Look at the 1990s and 1980s. The game was extremely physical. You only had 5 meters room to hide, so it was anything went back in those days, and even in my days. So there needs to be more support on CTE and the players that have put their bodies on the line now. And you can't, rugby union, rugby league, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. They need to find some way to support the players, more so players before my time. I don't have as much knowledge on the CTE. I do have dear friends of mine that had to retire from concussions. But it's an area that needs more attention. Yeah. Because there is a connection with CTE and players who have unfortunately taken their lives.
It's devastating.
Devastating.
It's absolutely devastating, yeah. And it caught my attention because, it's like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even, like you said, it's just not talked about enough. Do you think that these up-and-coming stars are being educated enough on it?
Well, I hope so. Again, I can only speak on the NRL, but players, when there are people on the sidelines, when they find a player that may have a concussion, they bring them straight off. So they're getting checked. So it's definitely even with head-eye tackles now, any contact around the head is either a penalty or 10 minutes in the bin. So the NRL today have done a great job on doing their best to protect the player. But then again too, when it comes to rugby union and league, it's a physical sport. You have to be physically aggressive and dominate your opposition. So the physicality is part of the nature of the game. So it's a balance. I don't think they have got it right just yet, but they are trying.
It's hard, and it is tough because you're right. You know, it's a physical sport, and you sort of know what you are stepping into. With it being that physical, it's interesting. And the guy that spoke on that documentary, I will link it below, team. But yeah, it was really interesting because he spoke about how his daughter was in a car accident, I think, and it made him sort of go and get a little bit more education on head injuries and whatnot. And it had me thinking like, wow. It was, Paul, what do you hope people take away from your story when you share it?
Everyone has a story. You have a story. It's about owning your story. And for me, I stopped playing the victim card mentality, and I really dedicated my life to getting better. And like anything, you really got to put in the work. And it can be done. It's just don't be afraid to ask for help. And as a young student at school, I was always sitting at the back of the classroom, too scared to ask questions and to put myself in uncomfortable situations. But as a older adult learner, I've learnt that you must ask questions. You have to sit in the front. And I don't know everything, and that's okay too. It's just a matter of taking one day at a time, being truly, truly grateful of the things that we do have in our lives. You know, take fortitude and gratitude into the simple things in life, and really, we're here to support each other. We're all humans. Everyone's going through something. So it's just a matter of being able to listen. And if you don't have the right answers, well, then try your best to put that person in the right direction and support them in that way.
Damn right. Nice. If you had the young Paul sitting in front of you today and you were able to have a conversation with him, what would that look like today?
Okay. Kia ora, Paul Whatuira Jr. You are the man, bro. You followed through with your dream. You were able to, yes, make mistakes, but you overcome those mistakes, and those mistakes have made me the person that I am today. So I'll be very proud of that young Māori boy from Whatuira, my hometown, which I love dearly. I'll give him a big awhi and say, you're the man. Black bum, because that was my nickname. My mum and dad used to call me as a family joke, which is still a joke today, which I love my family dearly.
Oh, awesome. If there was a young kid out there that had a dream just like yours and they were struggling to find their voice and to find their feet, you know, where would you point them?
Where would I point them?
What direction would you point them in?
I would point them directly to the mirror and to tell themselves, me aroha koe, kia koe anō, I love myself, and kawe whakamā, kōrero mai, be able to, don't be shy, go and ask for help, go and ask questions, go and ask the champion for advice who has been there and done that, has laid the pathway for you to succeed. Go and ask that person. Never be shy to ask for help, for questions, for advice. But go to those ones who have walked that path. Don't go to the ones that talk up a big game, but don't back it up, because there's plenty out there.
Oh, nice. My last question today, and it's just to sort of round this up. What does the future look like for you in regards to your mahi and what you do?
Yeah, I love my mahi. It's not work to me. I'm trying to make a difference. I know that the space that we're both in, it's an ongoing space. We'll definitely, I don't find myself as a miracle worker, but I'm just trying to do my best with the tools that I have right now and make a difference. And as we slowly grow and build internal strength, we just want to make a positive difference in the world, because there's a lot of pain and struggles that people have to deal with every single day. So just try and make a difference.
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge you and thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and coming and sitting down with me today. I can't thank you enough, actually. Your journey and your story, I know, resonate with so many people out there. And it's because of people like you that share their stories. It helps people realize that they aren't alone in their struggles. So I thank you, Paul. I always give my guests the opportunity to wrap up on whatever they would like to wrap up on. The floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here on your beautiful podcast show, Nicole. I've enjoyed our corridor. So just tautoko you, keep doing great work. Keep putting the word out there that we all have a story, and keep inspiring people. But I guess the last word is ngā mihi nui, Nicole, to you and the great work that you do. Thank you. Absolute pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much, Paul. That's a wrap.
Ki mihi ngā mea pai I roto I ngā mea kino, which means with every bad, you must look for the good within that bad.